Welcome back. It's been what, 2 days now? I'm around all the time now, guys. You couldn't get rid of me even if you wanted to. Well, actually you could. Please don't unsubscribe. Yesterday, Larian Studios came out of the woodworks with a community update. The last time we heard from them was at the last gameplay reveal at D&D Live, when we were rudely cut off from seeing a Myconid colony by some RL D&D stuff. And Larian Studios gave us some information on combat and stealth, so let's waste no time and get right into it. The community update first starts off talking about early access and how we all want to know a date, but they don't have an exact date as of yet, so I just wasted your time by telling you that. But Larian did say they're making good progress, which to me means that we'll likely see that August early access release, or if not August, probably not long after, maybe in September. Larian goes on to tell us that early access means change, and that change is shaped by feedback and testing over time. So just remember, these are now my words, not Larian's, that when early access begins, it's basically a way to let us players be involved in the development of the game, and provide feedback to Larian Studios so they can really get to working on the final version of the product, where not only they can be happy, but us players will be happy as well. We have already seen Larian Studios make some pretty big changes from the first gameplay reveal, such as the initiative system and the narration in the game, so just know that this company is not afraid to listen to the community and make some pretty big changes in a short amount of time. They have like over 250 people working on this game, which is crazy, so I wouldn't underestimate them, and please, for the love of God, if you do play early access, provide good feedback, constructive criticism. I know some of you guys who comment on my channel don't really know what that is. So don't just say this game sucks, for the final game will likely be different than what we play initially in early access. I don't think many people are going to be saying this game sucks because it does look pretty incredible so far. Okay, I'll stop rambling and let's talk about what they had to say about combat, and then we'll get into stealth. For those of you who haven't been keeping up with everything, like I said, the combat system has been changed since the initial gameplay reveal, and right now it goes like this. When combat starts, all combatants do an initiative roll, so the game will instantly do the D&D 5th edition initiative roll mechanic, and then depending on each combatant's results will depend on where they fit in the order of turns during combat. But currently there is a bit of a twist to this. If multiple combatants of the same team end up in consecutive order, you can simultaneously command each of them, meaning they can go at the same time or in whichever order you want. So as Larian says, you will experience a different tactical puzzle in each combat that really mixes everything up but still allows you to react to the cards you're dealt, so to speak. There's no actual cards in this game, that was a figure of speech. Between the random number generation of initiative and the planning, you should be able to have a fresh experience with every combat while still being able to predict and plan with friends how to combine spells and abilities and ultimately win the fight. This is an interesting way to handle turn-based combat, and it seems like it's the best of both worlds, but only time will tell if it's actually completely balanced. I could talk about this a lot, and I really want to, but I know that I already did on a previous video, and this is not technically new news, so I'll move on. Larian went on to talk about the fluidity of combat and how the combat in Baldur's Gate 3 has been sped up when compared to games like Divinity Original Sin 2. I'm sure most people watching this video do enjoy turn-based combat, and if you don't think that you do and you haven't tried it yet, I highly recommend trying to keep an open mind and at least giving it a shot, because if you're like me, most of your life you thought of turn-based combat in a video game as being unrealistic and slow and even stupid. But one day when games were feeling stale to me and I needed a break from the From Software games, I gave it a shot again and found myself really enjoying it, and I was amazed at how challenging it can actually be. Real-time combat greatly tests your coordination, which is awesome, but turn-based combat tests your mind and your tactics and your planning, and it's truly its own set of skills. Or maybe I'm just getting old and I can't do the coordination shit anymore. But anyways, Larian has been working on ways to speed up the turn-based combat in Baldur's Gate 3, and it's definitely working. And not even talking about what we talked about earlier, where teammates can at times go simultaneously in combat, which does save a lot of time on its own. Larian has also been working heavily on how animations are created and processed. We invested heavily into what drives our animation pipeline, and specifically made tweaks to improve the feel and motion in combat. The increased brevity and flow is down to many changes, shaving off microseconds and sometimes entire seconds. For example, another character's turn will begin behind the scenes, as the previous character is ending their animation. Even things as simple as combining move animations with the hit of a melee strike shave seconds off combat. This is great news, and even though it might not seem like much to some, I bet by the time that you finish your first playthrough, if you then did another playthrough without these animation improvements, you would feel the difference right away, and the amount of time that you'll save over the course of the game is probably an insanely high number that you wouldn't expect. So that's all we got on combat in the community update. Nothing crazy new, but all great stuff to hear, and their attention to detail on stuff like with the animations I think is going to go a long way. Now let's talk about stealth. Once again, for those of you who might not be keeping up to date with everything, Baldur's Gate 3 has a forced turn-based mode. This is a very big and important new feature. Forced turn-based mode means that at any moment during exploration, you can switch the game to turn-based rules. Each turn equates to 6 seconds, so your player can move for 6 seconds and then end the turn, and then the enemy will do what they do for 6 seconds, and so on. This will play a big role in stealth, for it will allow you as a player to predict and navigate enemy movements, and also solve puzzles that require clever navigation. Larian has also introduced a light and darkness system that will have a great effect on stealth mechanics, and we got to see a little chart explaining how this will work. The 3 light and dark conditions are clear area, lightly obscured, and heavily obscured. So if you're in an area with the clear area condition, you're always visible to your opponents regardless of if you're sneaking or not. Now, we haven't heard Larian Studios talk much about hiding behind objects yet, but I look forward to hearing new information on that in the future. If you're in a lightly obscured condition and sneaking around, if an enemy's field of vision goes over where your character is sneaking, you'll be forced to do a stealth check, which is where the game will do an instant behind-the-scene roll of a 20-sided die, add your dexterity modifier, and possibly your proficiency bonus in stealth if you have proficiency in the skill of stealth, and then compare that to your opponent's passive perception score. If you tie or get higher than their perception score, you succeed and will not be spotted, but if you fail, you're caught on sight and combat will likely begin. If you're in a lightly obscured area but the enemy has dark vision, it's basically the same as being in a clear area. You are visible to the enemy and spotted on sight. If you're in a heavily obscured area and sneaking around, you will be undetected. The enemy cannot see you even if their field of vision turns your way. I'm not sure if sound mechanics will come into play or not, only time will tell. And if you're in a heavily obscured area and an enemy has dark vision, if their field of vision crosses over you, you'll be forced to do a stealth check like you did in the lightly obscured area with an enemy that doesn't have dark vision. I like everything that they're doing here, and it all makes sense. This new forced turn-based mode was surprising when we first heard about it in a good way, and I think that it will work great with the mechanics of the game. Forced turn-based mode can also really help you get the best chances with your initiative rolls as combat starts. So be creative, sneak up on them son of a bitches, set up your party and kick some ass. To summarize stealth, here's a Larian quote. Forced turn-based mode allows you to switch to turn-based rules in exploration to set up traps, bypass patrols, steal, and otherwise head on many other roguish exploits, but you don't have to be a rogue class, of course. That's it for yesterday's community update. Nothing too crazy, but some things have been confirmed and we did learn a little. And every little bit of information from Larian, you bet I'll be there. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It's a huge help to my channel. I do all sorts of content on this channel, ranging from comedy videos to live streams to game reviews to game tutorials and much more Baldur's Gate 3 content on the way. Until next time.